Welcome back to another riveting chapter of this enchanting tale. How will Theodore get home? How will his family react to this revelation? Find out this and more in this upcoming chapter of Chronicle of the Seers Orb. Enjoy.
A Novel First Draft. A story by Ariel Sparks. Title: Chronicle of the Seers Orb. Copyright Ariel Sparks 2025. Chapter 4. Journey from the Whispering Grove. Why does the path differ from the one we took here? Theodore finally managed to ask, his breath coming in short gasps as they climbed a particularly steep incline. The forces of the earth are like a river, ever changing, Maziba said, his eyes never leaving the path ahead. Their currents shift with the passing of time and the shifting of the world's balance. Only the staff knows the way home. Theodore felt the weight of their journey pressing down upon him as they ventured further into the unknown. The path they trod was not one of his making, nor one he had ever seen on any of his cartographic scrolls. Maziba moved with the grace of a creature born of the very forces they sought to avoid. Theodore found himself struggling to keep pace, his mind racing with questions that the Guardian seemed to anticipate. They walked in silence for what felt like hours, the only sound the crunch of leaves and the occasional hoot of a night bird. Theodore couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, the trees seemingly carrying secrets just out of earshot. Beware the wandering roots, Maziba cautioned. A rare utterance that brought Theodore's mind back to the task at hand. The Guardian's steps grew more deliberate as the light of the orb grew brighter, guiding them through the dense foliage. This is the hidden valley of the Whispering Grove, a place where the veil between worlds is thin, Maziba said, his voice a low rumble. Here, its impact is clearer, more insistent. Theodore could feel the anticipation building in his chest, his eyes straining to pierce the gloom ahead. The valley stretched out before them, a sea of shadows punctuated by the ghostly white trunks of ancient trees. The air grew cooler, carrying with it the scent of wet stone and the distant murmur of a hidden stream. Maziba's hand shot out, his staff pointing to a dark fissure in the side of the mountain. Then he declared. There, the path to your village, Vander Wood, lies through that cave. In the cave, Theodore squinted into the gaping maw, the light from the crystal staff throwing eerie patterns onto the smooth, limestone walls. But we must be a day away at least, he murmured. How can my village be on the other side? His voice bouncing off the rocks and mingling with the damp air. Maziba offered no words of reassurance, his eyes still locked onto the path ahead, his staff a beacon in the encroaching dark. The cave was similar to the chamber that holds, the mirror of ages, its walls a canvas for the flickering light, painting a scene that was both alien and out of sight, while still holding a hint of the familiar. The smoothness of the rock was unlike anything he had ever seen in the wild lands around Vander Wood, reminiscent of the ancient, man-made tunnels that crisscrossed beneath the surface of the world. As they ventured deeper, the path grew narrow, the sounds of the world outside growing fainter. Theodore could feel the tension coil within him, his heart hammering in his chest like a blacksmith's anvil. The light from the staff grew dimmer, the resonance of the earth swallowed by the oppressive silence of the mountain. And then, without warning, the tunnel branched, a fork appearing in the path. Theodore's eyes darted from one path to the other, his mind racing with doubt. Which way was the true path home? Maziba stepped forward and raised his staff and struck the wall. With a thunderous crack, the rock face beside them split open, revealing an antechamber that shimmered with an ethereal light. The air within was thick and damp, with the faint hum of power, as if the very essence of the earth itself was concentrated within. Theodore's eyes widened at the sight before him, a pool of liquid. It was the color of the night sky, yet it rippled and danced with the light of 1,000 stars, casting a soft, azure glow across the cavernous space. The surface was as smooth as a mirror, reflecting the dim light of the staff in a way that was at once mesmerizing and disconcerting. Maziba stepped into the chamber and said, Drink. It is the waters of the sky mirror, a gift from the ancients to aid those who walk the paths of the seer. Theodore looked at him quizzically, his hand hovering over the crystalline liquid. But what will it do? He asked, his voice trembling slightly. It will show you the way. The elements of the earth are strongest in the sky mirror's embrace. With a deep breath, Theodore took a tentative sip from the shimmering waters. The liquid was cool, tasting of a distant rain that had kissed the earth and been drawn back into the sky. It coated his mouth with the essence of the night and the promise of unseen lands. Now, Maziba said, his voice a gentle prod. Step into the embrace of the sky mirror. Theodore took a deep breath and lowered himself into the pool, feeling the water envelop him, in a cold, liquid embrace. The moment he was fully submerged, the floor beneath his feet disappeared, and he found himself plummeting through a swirling tunnel of lights that defied description. The colors danced around him, twisting and coiling like serpents of pure energy, and he could not help but let out a startled gasp. Maziba, unfazed by the sudden descent, followed closely behind. Fear not, you are one with the elements now. The Guardian's voice echoed in his mind, as if the very water was carrying his words. The lights grew more vivid, swirling around them, a cosmic dance of the elements. Theodore felt the water of the sky mirror press against him, a cool, invisible force that he felt both held him and propelled him forward through the abyss. He closed his eyes, focusing on the gentle hum of the staff, the only familiarity in the alien embrace of the pool. When he opened them again, the world had shifted. The walls of the cavern had receded, replaced by the familiar embrace of the night sky, a velvety backdrop for the stars that winked at him knowingly. He was no longer falling but floating, suspended in the heart of the pool, his body feeling both weightless and connected to the very fabric of the earth beneath. Maziba's face, a mask of stoic calm, as he appeared to hover above the water's surface, framed by the ferns and bamboo that had seemingly sprouted from nowhere. Welcome to the Vander Wood Pond of the Unseen, he said. Where the energies of nature are at their most succinct. Theodore emerged from the pool, his eyes wide with wonder. The area around them had transformed from the dark embrace of the mountain into a lush grove, bathed in the silvery light of the full moon. The towering ferns and bamboo formed a living canopy above, their shadows dancing on the water's surface. It appears we've arrived, Maziba said, his deep voice a comforting rumble amidst the symphony of crickets and distant night birds. Theodore looked around, the hairs on his arms standing on end. How is this possible? He muttered, his eyes drinking in the surreal beauty of the fern-choked grove. Maziba chuckled. Ah, the ways of the unseen forces are as unpredictable as the whims of a fickle lover. To some, it appears as a mundane pond, a mere pothole in the fabric of the world. But to those with the seer's gift, it reveals itself as the gateway to the unseen. Theodore blinked, the revelation sinking in. So, we've traveled a day's journey in mere minutes? He asked, his voice filled with awe. These forces do not abide by the ticking hands of a mortal's clock, he replied. When you walk with the ancients, you tread the path of the infinite. Consider the swiftness of thought, he continued, it darts from one end of the world to another in an instant, does it not? So too do these forces weave their paths through the fabric of existence. Theodore nodded, still trying to wrap his head around the impossible journey they had just undertaken. But how did you know this place was here? He asked. Maziba's smile was enigmatic. When you walk the paths of the ancients, you learn to see beyond the veil. The knowledge is there for those who are ready to receive it. Like a fruit ripe for the plucking, it awaits the hand that is ready to grasp it. The Guardian led Theodore from the canopy of the fern-covered grove. The air grew cooler as they emerged onto the cobbled streets of Vander Wood. The village lay draped in the soft embrace of moonlight. The shadows of the thatched roof houses formed geometric shapes on the cobblestone streets. The only sound that broke the silence was the distant bark of a dog, the lone sentinel of the night. Theodore felt a peculiar mix of trepidation and delight, as they approached the familiar path to his family home. The journey had been a whirlwind of impossibilities, yet here he was, returned from the ancient ruins with a tale that would shake the very foundations of his village. Maziba's words echoed in his mind. The truth is clearest in the heart of those who seek them. The cobblestone streets lay silent beneath their feet, the scent of chimney smoke and the distant chirp of a night creature painted a serene picture of Vander Wood. A stark contrast to the tumultuous emotions roiling within him. Theodore felt a peculiar lightness, as if the weight of the orb's revelation had not yet fully settled upon his shoulders. Maziba, he said urgently, won't you come with me to my home? To meet my family. Maziba paused, the shadows playing upon his features, as he said. My place is not among the town folk of your village, Theodore, but I shall wait here, beneath the boughs of this ancient tree, where the hum of the night is strongest. Theodore nodded. He knew Maziba's duty was to the grove, to the ancient guardianship that had been passed down through the generations of his kind. Yet, the thought of the guardian returning to the Whispering Grove, without sharing the marvel they had discovered brought a twinge of sadness. It will be but a moment. Theodore urged, his voice a gentle reminder of their shared humanity. To let them know that I've returned unharmed, with something that could change the very fabric of Vander Wood. Maziba paused for a moment. Then, with a nod that spoke volumes, the Guardian acquiesced. Very well, but know this, Theodore, my duty is to the Grand Elder, and I must ensure that their works are maintained. Afterwards, I must return to the grove post-haste. They approached Theodore's family home, the cobblestone path echoing with the promise of revelation. The house stood proudly, its windows aglow with the flicker of candlelight. The scent of baked bread wafted through the air, a homely beacon that brought a pang of nostalgia to Theodore's heart. As they entered his home, Maziba had to bow his head to avoid scraping the low-beam ceiling, the top of his staff scraping the wooden beam above with a sound that made the whole house sigh with the weight of his presence. His frame, an imposing presence amidst the quaint furnishings. The Guardian resembled a giant from the pages of a mythical tome, his attire, a blend of materials, fabrics and metals. His boots, worn from countless journeys, was out of place on the well-swept wooden floorboards. His eyes, those piercing emeralds, scanned the room, taking in the scene with a single, unblinking glance. Lilith and young Timothy blinked sleep from their eyes, stumbling into the flickering candlelight as they took in the sight of their husband and father, not only alive but with a guest whose presence seemed to fill the very air with wonders of the unknown. Theodore beckoned to the hall, where Alara slept soundly, dreams of adventure no doubt dancing behind her eyelids. She emerged, her curiosity piqued by the unaccustomed commotion. They all gathered around the sturdy wooden table, its surface now a stage for the most fantastical tale of all. Maziba's towering frame and bulk was a silent sentinel as he observed the intimate scene before him. Theodore's heart swelled with pride as he watched his family, their faces a canvas of anticipation. Alara, my dear, Theodore called gently. The girl, her eyes still heavy with sleep, stumbled into the room, her curiosity piqued by the thumping in the night. She rubbed her eyes, her nightgown fluttering around her ankles like a ghostly apparition. What is it, father? She murmured delicately. Theodore crouched down to her level, his eyes shimmering with the light of 1,000 stars reflected in the pool. Alara, love, he said softly, I've brought someone special for us all to meet. The room grew taut with anticipation as he led her sleepy-eyed to the table. Lilith and Timothy stared, wide-eyed at the stranger, the Guardian's armor glinting in the candlelight, his cloak a shadow that apparently held the very night itself. Theodore announced, his voice filled with awe. This is Maziba, the Guardian of the Whispering Grove. Lilith's eyes grew wide as she took in the towering figure of the man before her. Timothy's jaw dropped, his eyes reflecting the flickering candlelight as he took in the grandeur of the Guardian's presence. Alara, though still groggy, managed to give a sleepy smile, her slumber disturbed by the unexpected midnight visitor. Theodore cleared his throat. My dearest family, he began, I have returned not just with a tale, but with a gift that will change the very essence of our lives in Vander Wood. Lilith's eyes searched his, seeking the truth behind the cryptic words, while Timothy leaned in, the candlelight casting a golden aura around his eager face. Alara, now fully awake, sat up straight, concerned by the gravity in her father's voice. Theodore took a deep breath, his eyes flicking to Maziba, who remained silent, with an unwavering gaze. He began. This guardian has led me on a journey through the earth, from the very heart of the Whispering Grove. Lilith gasped, her hand flying to her mouth as she stared at Maziba with a mix of awe and fear. Timothy's eyes grew round with wonder, and even Alara, who had slumped in her chair moments ago, sat up with newfound vigor. The Whispering Grove, father. She breathed, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and disbelief. Indeed, my dear, he said, the Whispering Grove have led us to a place of ancient power, a place where the very fabric of our world is woven into a tapestry of secrets and mysteries. Lilith interjected, her voice trembling with excitement. But the orb, where is the orb that you left with? Theodore's gaze fell to the table. The orb remains with the Grand Elder, he said. A collective gasp filled the room, the very air held its breath at the mention of the ancient guardian. But it is not just one, he continued, his eyes lifting to meet theirs. It is one of a set. A collection of stones that holds the elements of the earth itself. 6 small ones, like the one Alara found, each imbued with the power to show us a different corner of our world. And one great stone that binds them all. Maziba nodded solemnly, the candlelight glinting off the emeralds that studded his staff. Indeed, he agreed. And each set is but one of 10. The 10 great stones and 60 small orbs are scattered across all the lands. A testament to the ancient pact between the earth and its guardians. Theodore could see the puzzle pieces falling into place in his family's eyes, the realization of the orb's significance growing with every word he spoke. The Grand Elder has revealed to me that these orbs are the eyes of the Guild of Cartographers of the Infinite, allowing the worthy to gaze upon her secrets and guard her wonders. Lilith's hand flew to her heart. But what does this mean for us, Theodore? She breathed. Maziba's gaze fell upon Alara, his expression a mix of solemnity and anticipation. He began, "It means, dear child, that you held in your possession a key to the function of Earth's elements." Theodore felt a thrill run down his spine as his eyes darted from his daughter to the Guardian, the room now alive with an unspoken understanding. It was a tale plucked from the pages of the dusty tomes that lay forgotten in the village library, yet here it was, unfolding before them in the candlelit warmth of their cottage. Alara, her curiosity now fully kindled, leaned forward. "But why, father?" she asked softly. "Why was I chosen?" "The elements choose their own child," Maziba replied. "It is not for us to question the capricious whims of fate, but to embrace the destiny laid before us." With a grace that belied his size, the Guardian pushed himself to his feet, the wooden floorboards creaking in protest. "I must return to the grove," he announced. "The forces grow restless, and the Grand Elder requires my vigilance." Alara looked up at him, her eyes wide with understanding. "But what does this mean for us?" she asked. Maziba leaned on his staff, his gaze drifting to the shadows that danced upon the walls. "Nature's mysteries are fickle, my child. They speak to those who wish to listen, and reveal their secrets to those who dare to seek them." His eyes met hers. "Your destiny is entwined with these orbs, whether you wish it or not. It is a burden, and a gift." Theodore nodded solemnly, then he spoke. "Alara, this journey has just begun. The ancients will guide us, but it is we who must choose how to wield their power." "Indeed, young Theodore," Maziba said, his tone a blend of amusement and gravity. "For the wonders of the elements are akin to the wind, they come and go as they please, but it is the sailor who must set his course and navigate the storms they stir. Now I will take my leave." With a stride and bow of his head, he was out the door on his journey back to the grove and the Grand Elder. The night swallowed him up, leaving behind a trail that appeared to linger in the room. The family looked at each other, the silence thick with unspoken questions and the anticipation of answers that lay just beyond their grasp. Theodore reached out and took Alara's small hand in his own, feeling the warmth of her curiosity pulsing within her. "Rest now, my love, tomorrow will come soon enough, and with it, the Whispering Grove will call to you." Lilith watched her husband with a mix of admiration and concern, her eyes reflecting the flickering candle light. She began, her voice a soft tremor. "Theodore, are you certain this path is the right one?" Theodore nodded, and with a voice firm yet gentle, he said, "We must prepare Alara for what is to come. The Grand Elder will call for her, and we must ensure she is ready to meet her." Lilith's eyes searched her husband's. "But Theodore, she is just a child," she protested softly, her hand resting on Alara's head. "What burden is this to place upon her?" "We shall prepare her," he assured. "Tomorrow, we shall speak more of this."
It's decision time for Alara and her family. Tension is in the air. Let me know if you are finding any connections with my story, and if it has been a joy to listen. Oh, also share and subscribe if you have not yet done so. I do hope you will lend your ears again next week for the 5th chapter of this novel, A Mother's Determined Resolve.